Time for a talk of the town today here on AM 1390 KRFO. Well, we've got Veterans Day coming up next week, so we're going to be talking to a couple of veterans from the one from the Legion and one from the VFW as David Thul and Brandon Nobles join us. Just an overview of what the VFW is about and the Legion's about and the things they do and such like that. And maybe we'll just start off a little bit, guys. Just talk a little bit about your experience as a veteran, where you served and when you served. A little bit about that.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having us. So I served 22 years in the National Guard, just retired last year. Had a couple of deployments, courtesy of my Uncle Sam, to Kosovo and a nice long one to Iraq, and then spent some time on active duty back here in the States.
We were just mentioning before we went on the air, you have a mother who's really into genealogy, and she found some interesting things where actually you can kind of trace little lines all the way back to the Civil War, can't you?
Yep, absolutely. So the National Guard unit here in Owatonna actually traces its lineage to the First Minnesota, which was the unit you've seen in the paper, the first volunteers of the Civil War. And so it's interesting to trace our lineage all the way back to some of the first guys to volunteer.
And Brandon, what about your veteran, your service and such?
I served from June 2005 to June 2010. I left a week after I graduated high school here in Owatonna, and I served in the Marine Corps. I served in Quantico, Virginia, and Okinawa, Japan.
And we got a high school. You're only 18. You're a kid. What made you decide to go ahead and take the plunge? That's a big decision.
Pretty big decision. Pretty big deciding factor was the fact that 9/11 actually happened when I was a freshman in high school. So all throughout high school, I pretty much had a good idea in my head that I was going to serve the country. So.
Okay, and now you're both with one with David with the VFW and Brandon with the Legion. Quite often Gary Ringhofer comes by, but I understand he is busy out and about somewhere today, huh?
Well, absolutely. So last month we had our Pheasants for Veterans auction, for hospitalized veterans auction at the VFW. We had a great, successful year. We raised over $15,000. And all of that money goes to our veterans here in Minnesota. So Gary is up right now enjoying kind of a celebration dinner with some of our veterans in the Minneapolis VA home. It's a celebration. It's a chance to get to meet some of the veterans there, and it's a way for some of those veterans and the VA staff to thank us for the money that's been raised.
And well, let's just stay on the fundraising. We'll quickly put in a little plug. Saturday, you have something going on at the VFW for veterans.
Absolutely. Saturday we have our 16th annual craft and bake sale at the VFW. This is a program that's put on by a couple local volunteers. All the money and proceeds raised from the booth rentals and the donations goes to buy gifts for our veterans, and a lot of that's going to be dispersed this next week. So I know there's a lot of craft shows going on. This is kind of Owatonna's craft show weekend. Great time to get out and about, but there's one that's really special because the money being raised is going directly to our veterans.
Okay, and again, we'll list a lot of folks if they're not involved or part of the Legion or VFW and such like that. Who actually can be a part of either the Legion or the VFW? Who's qualified? I guess I found out that you don't have to be a veteran. Even if you're related, you can qualify. Talk a little bit about who can be a member.
The American Legion is actually comprised of three separate organizations in our club in particular. We've got the Legion, which is service members. For that, you have to have served during a time of war, not necessarily having deployed to the war zone. We also have two other organizations within it. Is the Auxiliary, which is for female relatives of veterans, and we have the Sons of the American Legion, which is male relatives of veterans.
Okay, and I'm going to guess VFW, of course, you have to go overseas, but you go ahead and tell me for sure, Dave.
Sure, the VFW is very similar to the American Legion. We're a constitutionally chartered organization. The only difference is, like you mentioned, you have to have served overseas, so you have to have had boots on the ground or been a sailor in hostile waters. For a 30-day window. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, we're very similar. So we've got the VFW post. That's the members who are eligible to join. And then we now have the auxiliary, which is a men's and women's auxiliary. And then we still have a men's auxiliary group.
Okay. And I know a lot of things, nonprofits I talk, well, churches as well, this generation, the younger the generation, the less likely they are to join or make a commitment. Is that something you see at the VFW and Legion Truth, or maybe young folks like you, Brendan, are a little more less likely to join than, say, the old veterans from World War II and Korea, or not?
Well, that's definitely something that we're trying to issue as an organization right now. We're trying to breathe new life into the organization, if you want to say so. Our auxiliary's got a brand new board, very young group of people. Same with the SAL, where the Sons, we're looking at making some changes there as well to try to attract a younger clientele.
Okay, you got a say you got a 30-year-old veteran sitting there across the table from you. Do your sales pitch, Brandon. Tell this guy or gal why she or he should be a part of the Legion.
Well, you should be a part of the Legion because it's the largest veterans organization in the world. It does an amazing things for this community. They support lots of local youth organizations. We're big into the military funeral scene, as well as the VFW is for providing military honors for funerals for the veterans in our communities. We yeah, for $37 you can be a part of a great organization that's given so much to this community.
37 a year. With BFW about the same for rates? Or?
Right, about the same for an annual membership. Yep. And VFW, we're similar with the Legion. We're all about helping veterans. And then we're also both organizations about helping in our community. So we're both organizations that raise money through charitable gambling, and the great thing is we get to give it away. We get to have groups that are looking for some funding and some assistance, primarily youth groups or veteran-related activities, and we get to give them some funding that they otherwise wouldn't be able to raise by themselves.
And we get this question a lot, and again, it's like we'll bring it up again. Someone who's not a veteran or not a member, oh, I'd like to go have a burger or a beer at either the Legion or VFW. Would someone like that be welcome, or do you have to be part of the group?
Well, so there's I guess generationally, a generation ago, it was a requirement for most Legions and VFWs that you had to be a member to come in. But both the Legion and the VFW are open to members and guests. And most people coming in the door, if you're not a member or related to a member, you probably are related to a veteran somewhere in your life. So we wouldn't mind you coming in because we'd like to get you signed up for the auxiliary or whichever area you fall into. But most everybody, I'll bet you, is related to a veteran.
Yep, that's okay. But we mentioned, I think, that before too. You could even just be a grandchild or something and still be eligible for membership.
Yep, absolutely. Going through two generations there. So grandchildren, grandfathers, grandmothers, and then you're looking at sisters. So there's sisters, brothers. There's really quite a few ways that you can qualify for membership.
And that's probably one of the things a lot of people did not realize and such. Well, someone joins either the Legion or VFW now. What do you expect from that person? Do they have a certain commitment that they have to uphold, a certain amount of meetings or a certain amount of help, or can they just give you a check and wait till next year and give you another check or not? How's that work?
Well, the first thing that happens at the VFW and the Legion when you join is we find an officer position for you and you get official responsibilities. I'm joking. No, that's a common misperception. A lot of people think if they join, they have to attend meetings or they have to do some of the functions. We certainly love when our members can be involved, but that's not a requirement for either organization.
And maybe we should really stress, Saturday year sale, that is open to the public. Right? Anyone who wants to can come in.
Absolutely. That's open to the public, and we'll have a lot of our post and auxiliary members there supporting it. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to get some great deals on some crafts and some bake sale items. And again, everybody's got a craft sale or a bake sale going this weekend, but this is money that's going to a great cause.
Saturday the 7th. And then, of course, next week we do have Veterans Day. Talk a little bit about Veterans Day with the Legion and the VFW, some plans.
So there's quite a few activities in Owatonna and Steele County going on Veterans Day. I always like to start off my day as a veteran at Hy-Vee. They give a free breakfast for veterans. And then the two big activities that kind of anchor the morning are the program at the Willow Creek Elementary. That's at 8:30, and that's open to the public. It's great to see the younger generation and how they respond to Veterans Day. We give them a little bit of the background about it and tell them a little of the history about it. And it's great to see them recognize that they have veterans in their family as well. And then we have the official flag raising at the Steele County Courthouse at 11 o'clock.
Okay. Anything else that pretty much the same docket for Legion, or?
I actually spoke to the Hy-Vee this morning. They said for their breakfast they're trying to upscale it this year. So in addition to their normal breakfast menu that they'll be featuring, which will be free for veterans and their spouses, they're also going to be featuring shrimp, prime rib, at an omelet station. So that's pretty neat.
For the veterans?
Yes.
For free? Okay, that sounds good too, like that. What about some other things? We've got a few more minutes. Some other things we should cover, or some topics we should bring out as far as veterans or VFW or the Legion you'd like to talk about? Anything or not?
Well, I know there's some other events going in town on Veterans Day itself.
Go ahead.
I know there's a dinner at the VFW, correct? And there's a lunch at the Legion. We'll be opening at 10 a.m. that day, and at noon we'll be having a Sloppy Joe potato chip and baked bean dinner open to veterans and their spouses.
When either one of you are at a ceremony where they raise the flag, is there something? Can you tell me? Do you feel something different inside? Can you tell me? I mean, like you flash back or think of a certain situation or as from your service years or not?
Well, I think there's a certain sense of pride and patriotism that comes in seeing the flag raised. Brandon mentioned 9/11. I know on 9/11 and in the weeks after, as a National Guardsman, I was at home and feeling frustrated, like many of us, that we wanted to do something, we wanted to respond. So it was good to be able to feel that I knew that I was part of that response. Whatever was going to happen was part of the American military, and I think we all feel that sense of patriotism when we see the flag raised.
Same for you too, Brandon. Anything special you feel when you see the flag go up?
Absolutely. He couldn't have said it any better.
Okay. Okay, wouldn't hurt. Maybe you think it's obvious, but give us the location of where your places are.
So the VFW is probably easiest described as kitty corner from the Steele County Fairgrounds. So we're right just south of Larry's Liquor. That's our big landmark that we tell people.
Okay, and for the Legion?
And the American Legion is located conveniently downtown, right across the street from Pizza Ranch on Broadway.
Okay. So if someone wants to find out something about or can talk about membership, can they just walk in anytime and just talk to whoever's on duty, or how does a person go about doing that?
You'll walk into either one of the posts at any time, and the bartender behind the bar or some of the members would be happy to tell you a little bit about it and give you some information. I know both of us have presence online, Facebook and websites, so it's a nice, easy way to find some information as well.
Okay. Any closing comment from either one of you before we wrap it up for today, our Veterans Day discussion?
Well, one item I wanted to mention that we almost missed was on Veterans Day, members of the VFW and the auxiliary are going to be visiting every veteran in a senior care facility in Steele County with gift bags. Just a quick way of reminding them that we're thankful for their service.
And that's probably one of the most important things you can do is just don't let them feel that they've been forgotten for what they've done, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's our Talk of the Town today. David Thul and Brandon Noble from the VFW and the Legion, our guests today here on AM 1390.